All right, this is CBR number 3. This is the Cat 4 race, and this will be my first crit back from my crash. I did Rosina Ranch, but that wasn't a real race for me. So windy, and I was kind of dropped and by myself. So anyway, I'm back, trying to still work on my fitness and get my confidence back, get back into race mode. Honestly, it felt good to just be out there again. I didn't know really what to expect. I didn't do any CBRs last year, so this is my first actually time racing CBR. I've been there because my wife raced it a lot last year. It's just I was on call most of the time last year and wasn't able to race. But anyway, we're going counterclockwise. It's pretty early in the morning. It was pretty. It wasn't really that cold. I mean, it was pretty cold, but the wind was something else. Half of the course was in a head or crosswind. And then this part of the course, so from this turn on right here, we're in a headwind here, and then up the last climb or whatever, or the little incline, we're on a crosswind. So very critical from these 2 points to stay tucked in. Here it gets pretty fast. I mean, we're doing 29 right now. This course, I think, definitely favors some breakaways. And being my first time riding it, I was just too passive like all day. I wasn't really I'm not back to like my race mentality. I'm trying to get it back, and the only way I'm going to get it back is by racing. So this is a start, and hopefully in a couple weeks or next race or whatever, I'll be a little more racy and can be a little more assertive and be where I need to be. Fitness wise though, in hindsight, I felt pretty good. During the race, I felt a little taxed, felt like I didn't have the fitness that I needed, but I think I was just mental. That was just not being accustomed to racing again. I've done a couple group rides these last few weeks, couple fast group rides, and that's not enough to prepare you for the efforts you put in on race day. So as I race a couple more times, things will get better. But anyway, let's get into the race a little bit. The pace started off pretty fast. I mean, first 10 minutes was really hot. As you can see, we're pretty stretched out and carrying decent speed. I think everyone was a little bit nervous just because it had rained earlier, and there's some puddles in some of the turns. And turn 1, there's a puddle in the middle. Turn 2, there's water and a little sand or something. So both those twos were kind of sketchy, even though they're at such high speed. People are hitting their brakes and a little nervous, I think, going through there. So the first half of this race, basically, everyone's brake checking here and not carrying good momentum. But about halfway through the race or so, things speed up a little bit. A lot of surging out of that turn. And of course here, everyone's trying to protect the wind and protect their position going into the straight. Going up to the climb. Because on the climb, obviously, you can either break away, make your move there, or you just need to carry good speed and go up. But anytime it goes from fast to slow, there's an opportunity to move up, and from slow to fast, there's an opportunity to move up. So this here starts the climb. I think it may touch 3%. I'm not sure. I know for sure 2. Not sure if it actually touches 3. It's not really a bad climb or anything, but at pace, everything's bad. So, Anyway, I think that might be Danny right there to my left from PRT. They got their new kits, black and white opposed to the blue and red they had. And then up there on the left, that's my teammate George. Unfortunately, there was a crash and incident, later in the race that coming up. I have the crash on this video, but, I don't have all the details. But, a lot of people weren't happy, and a lot of finger pointing and arguing and stuff going on, so we'll discuss that later. But I would like to say, definitely, just to make a point, is we all have to keep it safe. We all have to keep our hands on the bars. It's a Cat 4 race. We're not out here to fight. We're not out here to intimidate people, at least not physically, stuff like that. So let's keep it safe, but let's also hold each other accountable. All of us have to we have to police ourselves. We're the ones out there. We know what's going on. We see what's going on, and let's just keep it safe, not get carried away. So Anyway, you see my heart rate's pretty low. Like it's only 166. We're doing 30, so I didn't feel too bad. Like I felt pretty good, but I just didn't feel like I'm racing yet. You know, my mind wasn't into like race mode. I felt new to it again, and just got to get comfortable, get my confidence back. But I'm sitting pretty good here. The pace is still hot, and of course, I think there's a little breakaway that may have already started up, um, up the road a little bit. I'm sure I'm trying to debate if I'm going to do the Laverne race next week. I really want to have a good showing in Marietta. Marietta is one of my favorite races, Tour de Marietta, and that Laverne race is going to be tough. So, kind of using this to get in shape and using the Laverne race to get in shape. But I was kind of doubting my fitness a little bit, to move up or make moves, and as I get it back, hopefully I'll just get my aggression back and stuff like that. See Jack up there in the multicolored like blue and red kit. That's Bros Ride Bikes. They got new kits. I think this might be their first or second race in the new kits. And I'm not sure if that's I won't even say. I'm not sure if that's him or not. But anyway, I tell Jack too I'm on his right here because I think he was gonna move to the right. There you go. And then I just give him a little space and let it go. I was still kind of being a little passive. That was a good opportunity for me to move up to the right side here, and this was pretty much a good space on this downhill. It was a good spot to move up and make up some places here because a lot of people slowed down for this turn here, and it's pretty wide. It's good to carry speed through, and I can either use the inside or the outside to make up a couple spots there. Like always, we got good representation from Go Fast in this race. I think they may have had the biggest team here. PRT had a couple guys in there as well, and I think there's a bunch of guys from the LA Bike Academy, and it was a good race. I mean, it was some good tactics. Some of these guys have been racing for the last couple months, and they're in the full swing of things. So to a degree, I felt a little out of place. I felt like, hey, I'm just getting into racing. It's only, I've only done a couple races this year, and these guys are in full swing already, and it shows they're putting in work. We had a pretty hot pace too. I think we averaged 26 something on this race, and I did the 4.5 later also, and we averaged like 20, mid 26 in that race as well. So I don't know. I'm not doing too bad here. I think I'm still in fairly decent position as far as how stretched out it is, and it just wasn't really to put in the work that I needed to. Just didn't have the confidence with my fitness and just with my racing ability at the moment. So I'm trying to kind of, I'm holding back a little too much. I've got a little bit too much in reserve, and there's nothing like crossing the finish line at the end of a race and not feeling completely spent. So I know I did not give it my all, but we're getting there. So for the most part, my game plan, my game plan went out the window right from the beginning. My game plan was to stay up front, run up front, try to go with any moves that happened, and I wasn't prepared for it. Moves went off the front right away. Those guys come flying by, which is something I should have done if I'm going to stick my nose in the wind. You got to close that gap kind of fast, and I'm just being passive. I think I just, coming off of the crash earlier this year, I think I just rode this race safe. And, I wasn't assertive, and I definitely wasn't, in full race mode. I was just being passive, trying to wait till the last couple laps and, catch lightning in a bottle. And it's very hard to do that. Lightning itself is just, it's so fast, and it's like 3 laps to go. And if you're out of position at that point, it's really hard to move up when the pace, kicks up. So on this stretch here is where we're going to have the crash. And honestly, it's a big crash, but it's a crash that, hopefully, we'll avoid in the future. It shouldn't have really happened. So anyway, the front guys got kind of ran down, and as you can see, it's bunching up here on this on the incline. This happened a lot. It bunched up a lot. The wind's coming off of our right here, so being on the left, you're kind of protected from the wind. And I think honestly, these little kickers in this course, and then the wind attacks people a little bit more than they thought it would, you know. So a lot of the breakaways didn't last, and unfortunately, some guys get away just a lap or so before the climb, before the crash. And at that time, Go Fast was getting ready. They're starting to assemble to make a move and run it down, and those guys end up squeaking away. So in front of me is Adam Nunez right there in the little super tuck. Okay, it's not actually a super tuck. Don't call the USA Cycling on us or whatever, the USA Cycling Police. But no, Adam Nunez, he was one of my teammates last year, and he moved out of town, so he's not racing with us this year. But he's been out to a couple races, and he raced strong in this race. Being a little bit smaller, it's kind of hard getting pushed in the wind and stuff, and you'll see him tucking and drafting here and just getting a free ride. And that's one of the things you got to do, is try to figure out where you can save energy, where you need to use your energy, kind of do it on your own, and where you can get a free ride around the course. So Adam raced strong today, and did a good job of saving energy and kind of tucking in on the draft. Very good rider though, pretty strong, and it's good to see him out there again. Wish he was still out here, in our area. So, but anyway, good on you, Adam, and hopefully we'll see you out there the rest of the year. So I think the race is kind of settling in now. Our speed has dropped a couple miles per hour. We were doing 30 through here a little while ago, and things are kind of settling, and all the excitement or adrenaline's kind of wearing off, and everyone's starting to say like, okay, I can't do 600 watts out of every corner for the whole 40 minutes. So it's becoming more manageable. I was really surprised though on this hill that it ended up slowing down a lot. A lot. Right now we're doing 22. I think by the end of the race, sometimes we're doing 19 miles per hour up this hill. And I usually carry a fairly high cadence, and at the beginning of the race, I think I was hitting somewhere between 400 watts, maybe roughly 400 watts to get up that hill, and later I know we're down like 280, 260, stuff like that. So that's Eli to my right. Bros ride bikes as well. Eli and Jack, they're both very strong. It's good to see them, all the progress they're making, all the racing they're doing. The kits look nice. I think Dane is also in Dano's also in the race with them. I'll point him out later when we get there, but yeah, it's always good to see everyone's progress and how strong these guys are. They're definitely strong and made some moves late in the race as well. That's Pat 605 rider to my right, and I'm not sure if he's the one that got caught up in the crash or not, but it was a Pat 605 rider that ended up going down initially, and definitely my heart goes out to those guys. Anytime one of your teammates are involved in a crash, you just kind of feel bad about it, and hopefully there's no hard feelings, and hopefully things can get taken care of and wrapped up. That's my teammate George in front of me, and George and I were the only two in this race. We didn't go in with like a strong game plan. We were really just trying to see where we'd be at later in the race, and just try to come together in the last couple laps, and try to make some moves if we can. We pretty much stayed around each other most of the race. I kind of surfed the same spot for the most part. George was a little more active, moving up to the front, coming back, but he's been racing and I just haven't been racing. So I think just the difference was my confidence level, and I was really just trying to survive it, get some fitness in, and just see where I'm at. Okay, this gets a little, obviously, as you guys can see, if it's this congested, then obviously we're going slow. We're only doing 25 through here. Yeah, definitely. The adrenaline has worn off now. The adrenaline rush has worn off. the races always start really hot for the first couple laps, and then everyone comes to their senses and say, hey, I can't hold this pace the whole time. So got my man Tony Dominguez right there in front of me from stage 2. Tony, again, I gave him a shout out a couple weeks ago. He's riding really strong. Did a great job here too. One of the things that threw some people off is I'm not sure if it was this race or the 4-5 race. They kind of blurred together for me since they're so close. We only had like 40 minutes in between the 2 races. But at one of them, they didn't ring the bell for the last lap. And if they did, like most of us didn't hear it. And, a lot of people thought there was one more lap to go. So I don't remember if it's this race or not, but yeah, but anyway, Tony's been riding well. He has a teammate in this race, and I can't remember what place Tony came in, but yeah, he was doing some good work, and just he's having a good year, so that's good to see, and hopefully it continues. Hopefully I can join up with him at Tour de Marietta a little bit. So here, yeah, there's 2 guys off the front, 2 or 3 off the front right now on a break. I think it was originally 3 and one kind of popped. But if you look to the right, see a couple Go Fast guys are starting to assemble. I think Go Fast was going to try to make a move to run it down like within this next lap. I heard a lot of the guys talking, just trying to get their riders together. And it's kind of funny, like Cat 4, like there's a lot of fast, a lot of really strong riders in Cat 4. A lot of people kind of know some of the tactics of racing, but when you're individually out in a race and there's a breakaway and there's just non-teammates on the front, it's really hard to get people to organize, work together, and burn energy for everyone to pull back that break. Because I think a lot of times people just think like, okay, what's in it for me? Like I'm about to pop myself trying to bring back the break, and that's just it. I bring everyone else back, and I'm hurting. So a lot of times when there's no team up front, it's kind of hard to get people to coordinate and work together. So I think Go Fast noticed that and just decided, hey, we're gonna have to do it. So again, they start assembling. You can see them on the right side here moving. I heard them talking about it. I knew that they're doing. I was happy that they're doing it because it's going to pick the pace up a little bit, and then we're going to run down the guys in the break. And for me, that was like, I was just feeling that would be a good opportunity for me to move up a little bit and get in better position. So I was happy that the pace was going to pick up, and I thought a lot of guys would start, it'll thin out a lot of people. So here comes a crash up in front. As you see, Go Fast goes up. There's a little bit of like jostling and arguing. I think from what I hear, it's with one of my teammates. I just don't have all the facts yet. And then there's a big crash here. You see the yellow jersey, that's the race leader who got caught up in it. He almost avoided it. He ended up clipping that back tire of the guy that was down. And unfortunately, I hear that there might be a broken collarbone in that crash from possibly the Pat 605 rider. I know there's some videos out there circulating of that crash, that people that had a better view. So you'll definitely see like more of what happened in those other videos. I don't have it so I'm not really going to speak too much of it on my on this race, only because I would just be speaking blindly. You wouldn't be able to see what happened. So anyway, being that I just came from a big crash, earlier this year, that crash didn't make me feel too great. But at the same time, I said, you know what? That's racing. It just happens. That's just part of it. I have actually never been to a bike race weekend where there wasn't a crash. So there's really no reason to think that we're ever going to make it through a full weekend without anyone crashing. So it's part of it. All we can do is ride smart, ride safe, and do the best we can. That's Marcelo over there to the left on the orange bike. I think they're Team Wolves, or I think that's what it is. But yeah, Marcelo's riding for a team this year, and he's also a really good, strong rider. He has a YouTube channel as well. I don't think he's recording today, but yeah, I met him last year racing Cat 5, and yeah, I saw that they have a team that they're racing with, and they have a couple guys, maybe 4 guys, 3, 4 guys in this race as well. So we're just about at the halfway point here. And spoiler alert, you see there's a rider down, and so for 2 laps, we basically have to slow down through there. They're waving us to slow down and move right. So we basically slow down, the whole Peloton slows down for 2 laps. But the breakaway, there was 2 riders in the breakaway, and they didn't have to slow down. Just because it's only 2 riders, they were able to go through full speed, and we have to slow down every time going through where the police car was, and they had a little 10-second gap that ended up turning into almost a 1-minute gap. And of course it was done at that point. We're only doing 2-minute laps, so they're half a lap in front of us by the time this second lap comes around, before they pick up the injured rider. So, and it's not taking anything away from the guys in the breakaway. They broke away. They made the move. Unfortunate things happened. The move stuck, and they didn't ride any less hard because there's a crash or whatever. They earned it. They broke away, and the Peloton couldn't catch them. So, kudos to those guys. And it was just a little unfortunate that we had to slow down each time. So, and I say we as in the Peloton. I mean, honestly, I'm just here for the ride. So anyway, on this part of the course, it's downhill. It's downhill, gets a really good speed, and I was trying to use this to recover. Just coming off the front straight, obviously when you come off the front straight or onto the front straight, you just finished the climb. You're probably at your highest level of it, spent energy at that point, and it's good that it's downhill. Carry a big gear, carry some good speed, and then let your legs recover and your heart recover a little bit. This spot here is about the same. The second half of this is kind of downhill and really fast. You get a little breather before you have to hit the hill again. And I started tail gunning here. Later in the race, I started tail gunning because at first, just staying so close, everybody was brake checking. I decided to open up a little gap here and there and just lay off the brakes, roll through, and try to smooth out my power. So the young man right there in the yellow jersey, he's the one that went over the bars in that crash. There's nothing he could really do about it. He almost avoided it, locked up the brakes, tried to make an evasive move or, to avoid the crash. But unfortunately, the bike just kind of bounced into his path, and he got caught going over the back tire. So it's good to see that he's up. He looks pretty stable. I thought he was hurt or I didn't know if he hit his head or not, but I thought he was hurt pretty bad the way he landed. He literally, if you go back and look at the film, pause it, he's above our heads. That's how high he was in the, in the air. His body was above the heads of the rest of the riders. So that's unfortunate, but I'm glad he's okay. And, he finished the race. So yeah, here's a spot again. There's a big water puddle right there, freaked people out, but honestly it had traction and it wasn't actually water. It was more like a wet spot. But yeah, so a lot of people slowed down there, and it was, like I said, I started tail gunning. And if people don't know what tail gunning is, like into a corner, you're basically just going to leave a little space from the riders in front of you, so you don't have to hit your brakes like I'm doing here. There's a little space in front of me, no brakes, let it roll through. And then if you see my power, it's spiking up a little more than I wanted to, but you can smooth out your power a little bit that way and not tax your legs as much and not tax your heart rate as much. I think there's Montgomery right there from Go Fast to my right. I think I don't know. I just find Montgomery in races. Wherever he's at, I just kind of hang out with him. We always, are kind of next to each other for a little while in these races so far this year. So, but honestly, we're both just building fitness and, working on getting better each time and keep improving. But at the moment, we're in that same spot. We end up just finding each other. So here, on the climb, I started dropping my cadence. Like the speed was kind of so slow. We didn't take that acceleration as much as I thought we were going to do. So I started dropping into the 80s just to save heart rate, save a little power, and just keep like steady momentum. As you can see there, I was down to 83, 84, stuff like that. And then here's a little acceleration, shift up to some heavier gears as the hill goes down, and then just try to carry speed and recover a little bit here. I think they also cut our race short a little bit. I don't know if we were running behind schedule or not, because I know I thought we had a little bit longer in the race. And I remember telling my teammate, I was like, hey, we got about 4 minutes, and then we definitely got to move up to the front. And when we came around, I think they were already saying 3 laps left. And that sounds about right, because I thought it was 30 minutes in, which we have a 40-minute race, and we're doing under 2 minutes a lap. So with 3 laps left, that ends up being 36 minutes, and that's about as long as our race was. So I don't know exactly why, but we ended up getting cut 4 minutes short, which is not a big deal. I mean, they announce it, but just game plan wise, when you're looking at how much time you have left, sometimes you can get caught out being a little further back than you should be, and that definitely was me. But it was more so off of just my mindset, not necessarily that I miscalculated anything. I was just, I'm in the same spot I have been basically the entire race. So if you notice that time, the tailgunning there was a lot better. I only spiked up to about 380 watts opposed to 600 watts. Was able to carry just good speed. I'm still right here with the group. Find a spot, move to the left to shield from the wind a little bit, and just smooth it out and try to keep your heart rate down and stuff like that. I'm only at 160, 163, which for some of you guys that don't know, I have a heart issue. I have atrial fibrillation, and I don't know how much that contributed to my heart rate today, but I did have some issues like earlier in the morning before I came, like at 4 in the morning. So I've been off of medication since 2020 and just been managing it by diet and cycling and all that. But I did have to pop 2 like of my emergency pills or whatever just to stabilize my heart, and sometimes that does keep it down. So it gives me a weird feeling when that happens, because your heart rate won't rise, and so I can't tell if that's part of it going on or if it's just me not used to racing again. So, but anyway, that's just an FYI. Because I'm out here and I make videos and all that kind of stuff, people kind of forget that I have some health issues, but it is what it is. I'm living with them, I'm racing with them, and I'm just going to keep it moving. So that corner right there was really sketch. Just with that water and that sand, and there's a bump in it. I almost high-sided one time, and I say almost, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but my rear tire did skip and slide to the right, like, I don't know, I'm guessing 6-7 inches or something, and then caught. And it's just hit and miss. You can't really adjust your line too much. You got to kind of hold your line when you're in the group there, and at different lean angles, with it being wet and a little sandy, just wasn't the best situation. I found myself like kind of having to get off the saddle sometime. I just definitely didn't want to go through at too steep of a lean angle and end up washing out or high-siding the rear. So I think here we're basically all back together, other than the 2 guys that are way out front and completely uncatchable. I mean, only a mechanical or a crash would bring them back to us. So we're basically just racing for 3rd place here. And I'm feeling pretty good. It's a little stretched out, so I'm way too far back, probably sitting in like 30th right now. Trying to find a way to move up a little bit, but honestly, maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was telling myself I was trying to move up, but I really wasn't. I think I just played it safe and wanted to get some racing under my belt, and I just kind of chilled and wasn't real assertive. I was still giving effort and all that kind of stuff. I was still focused on what I was doing, and I was still looking for an opportunity, but I don't think I was willing to go get that opportunity, go make it happen. And unfortunately, I think I had the ability to make a little something happen, at least have a better finish. Um, but yeah, mentally, I just wasn't there yet. I didn't have that race killer instinct anymore. I got to gain that back. So I don't know if that's Ren or not, right there with the SC Velo kit. I didn't talk to him. I didn't see or talk to him today, so I wasn't sure if that was him, but it kind of favors him a little bit right there. I can't remember what bike he has. I'll have to look at his Strava, but Ren Tong, yeah, he's really strong as well, rides for SC Velo, and he's usually in the Cat 4 races, so yeah, it might be him, but I can't remember, so didn't really remember seeing him. We're definitely, I don't know, going super slow right now. I mean, usually we should be closer to 30 coming into this hill, and we carry 23 miles per hour into it. You can see how congested it is. Yeah, it was getting tight sometime, and that's all you got to do is hold your line and keep it steady, and just keep pushing on the pedals. I think sometimes we get a little excited when it gets close in here, but that's what we came here for. This is bike racing. There's nothing to get excited about, nothing to yell about, nothing else. This is just bike racing right here. Okay, so I think we're down to the last couple laps, maybe 2 laps to go here. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 laps to go. You can definitely see people are starting to get a little more frantic, picking up the pace a little. And I don't mean like necessarily like the speed, but you can see it in body language. Body language, people start to just move their limbs a little faster once it gets down to the last couple laps. So overall, honestly, I'd be fooling myself if I didn't say I was, decently happy with my performance. It's not like I did anything special. It's just simply that I'm back out there racing, you know, trying to get that itch again and, just get back into full race mode. So the first step is just getting back out there and completing some races. And, I did 2 of them today. And yeah, so I guess, basically I'm back. And I look forward to having a really good season. And hopefully I'll be moving, going fast, right as we get into the meat of the season, the second half. So yeah, here it looks like we're going to be coming into, I believe this is the Bell Lap here. You can see how the pace is a lot hotter. We came in last time at 22 miles per hour. We're halfway up the climb and we're still doing 27, 26. Starting to slow down a little bit just because it's bunching up here. Trying to move up a little bit on the outside, and originally my plan was to try to carry some speed on the outside here down going into turn 1 and try to make up some spots, and then just try to make up as many spots as I can on the next few turns. But I think just with turn 1, with that little the couple puddles in the middle at such a high speed, and there's a big rig parked on the outside. Some people hit the cones earlier today. I think everyone just checks up a little bit here, and I didn't want to have that same issue of just such different closing speeds here and carry too much speed. I'm trying to make a move here a little bit to move up, but yeah, it's getting hot. I mean, we're not really going that fast. We were doing 30 earlier here, but when you start off this far back, you just pretty much handcuff yourself and there's nowhere to go. There's so many people to get through. You'd have to put in so much effort to really make a lot of spots here. So I think we got a couple turns to go here, and that's basically it. I jump on my man's wheel here with the kind of flower patterned shirt, but as you can see, we got different speeds going on here. Danny's trying to look for a spot too, but I think Danny was like, you know what, yeah, I'm where I'm at. It's kind of where I'm gonna finish, and let's just make it home safe. So yeah, I still have energy. Honestly, way too much energy. There's no reason for me to have this much energy this late in the race. I should have used it. Should have been up in a higher spot. And it is what it is. So it was a good workout. Did 2 races this weekend. I'll post the other one later today, and it was nothing special. Kind of, from my perspective, it's kind of boring race. Would have liked to sprint, but there's no reason. I have nowhere to go right here. I'm not going to be trying to sprint in between people right here for 30th place. That's just not worth it. So I just sat up and finished the ride. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I got a couple more videos that'll come out, probably the next day or two, and we'll see you next time.